Hello everybody and welcome back to Odin's movie blog. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope you're doing well, and today we've got some news about AMC theaters, which is very interesting to me because you all know my stance on pretty much anything coming out of China nowadays, and that is, it's probably false, it's probably fake, it's probably just complete propaganda. And so when we get word like this, that speculation into AMC's potential demise being a bunch of bullcrap, and that coming from a source in China, specifically the company that now owns AMC and bought it back in 2012, I definitely will call BS on this one as well. But let's dive into the article here, given to us once again by Deadline.com. So China's Wanda, which is the conglomerate that owns AMC and bought AMC back in 2012, calls the AMC bankruptcy speculation pure rumors. I just feel like, I don't know why, but for some reason I want to say that as it's pure rumors, it's fake news. Like, basically that's what this person seems to be indicating, but I'm going to be honest here, I really just don't buy anything coming out of it, because we all know that China is a communist regime and that even the businesses over there have ties in with their governments and the governments have ties in with their business. And so basically anything that comes out of them, I just will immediately question, especially now since there's information that they potentially found a link between what we now have with this virus going on and potentially being created in a lab over there in China, which has been speculated for a long time, but now more mainstream media outlets are actually starting to cover it. And so, yeah, I'm going to question and doubt things coming out of China, even if it's from a corporation in China, because of those government ties. But let's go ahead and dive further into this news by reading the article from Deadline. It says China's Dalian Wanda Group has issued a statement regarding its AMC Entertainment, calling speculation about the chain filing for bankruptcy pure rumors. Now, the problem with that is the next line. This comes after an S&P Global report last week forecasted AMC's depletion of cash by midsummer and its potential inability to reopen by June, and as chatter has swirled about a possible Chapter 11 filing. And remember that their credit rating was downgraded to the point of it being basically to the wording having it be, basically shutdown's imminent. Basically, catastrophe is imminent is the language that the downgrade had. And so if you're going to tell me that one of the main ways that we're able to tell whether a company is doing well or not is saying that, oh yeah, things aren't looking good and Chapter 11 is basically imminent at this point, and then you're going to say, oh, that's a bunch of rumors. I'm sorry, man, there's an S&P Global report saying otherwise, and you have ties to the communist government. So I'm just going to go ahead and buy what S&P is saying at this point rather than you, but that's, of course, just me. In a one-line announcement, only one line on its Chinese website, Wanda says recent online speculation from the media that Wanda's AMC is filing for bankruptcy is pure rumors. And now, does this mean that it's not true? Does this mean that AMC is absolutely going to have to file for bankruptcy? It could, and it possibly couldn't, right? It really depends on where we are once the theater chain is ready to reopen. We're kind of in this in-between weird place because there's a lot of bills that still are going to be passed by Congress. A lot of those bills are going to give money to giant corporations, small businesses, individual people like it already has, and one of those businesses could very well be AMC. It's definitely not AMC's fault. It's definitely not Wanda's fault that this whole thing happened. Though, of course, one could argue saying, well, technically, since they're associated, but no, I mean, as far as an actual conglomerate group goes, obviously Wanda did not have a direct hand, at least from our knowledge that we have now, in causing this chaos. But going more so to stateside with AMC's 630 theaters, them closing was either because of, either because the state was in the position of already shutting businesses down, or what happened eventually, which was AMC deciding, hey, you know what? We're going to go ahead and shut down for a undeterminate amount of time. For 6 to 12 weeks was the original report back in the day, having them open sometime in June. That seems very unlikely, especially with now Cinemark making a public statement that they plan to reopen by July 1st. And even that is being given the, really? Are we really in the position now to say that we can really open at that point? Especially since if we were going to open at that point, there's talk about people saying, yeah, you know what? Maybe we need to take people's temperatures on the way into the theater and do social distancing then. And that could just cause a lot of problems that might push a lot of people away from the theaters. But either way, things are just not really looking all that great for AMC. And so hearing this from the Wanda Group, I have very, very, very strong doubts that they are saying this based on information that they have, but rather them just saying it to try and keep everything going as best as they can, to try and give, I guess you could say, confidence to stockholders, not to sell off their stock immediately. But when you look at this next statement, it's kind of hard to say that, because AMC has 630 locations, again, one of the largest U.S. theater chains in the country. where they were all 630 were shuttered temporarily in mid-March as everything grew. While they reopen remains in question, the world's largest exhibition circuit is saddled with $4.9 billion in debt, and as of last week was valued at $327.3 million. So again, you're in $5 billion of debt, and you're only valued for $327 million. You see, that debt to value ratio is not looking very good. So unless you get a large influx of cash from the taxpayers of the United States or any other global government, though of course AMC being specifically US based, I highly doubt you're going to have other, countries coming in to help them out. Maybe they'll get some money from China. I honestly don't know how that works because, again, communism is just silly. But with all that being said, I think AMC is in a very bad position to go under. And this makes me very sad. I remember when this group took over AMC back in 2012. That's around the time that I was working for AMC, and it didn't really affect us directly at the local level, but I remember it was kind of big news because our managers and supervisors were talking about it at the time, and there was kind of this discussion of, yeah, we don't really know how to feel about it because now, we're an American company that's now been acquired by China. Yeah, we don't know what's going to happen. And when you're in $4.9 billion in debt, I think that kind of speaks volumes to how they have been handling it. As Deadline reported last week, distribution and rival exhibition sources wouldn't be shocked if AMC files for Chapter 11, especially with that SNP report in the near future. But that's not necessarily a scarlet letter for the group. Should AMC file for bankruptcy, it can still reopen under Chapter 11, according to sources, and that's because studios and distributors are likely to be deemed by a bankruptcy court as critical vendors, and especially since they've had to furlough 25,000 people, and also the fact that they did not, through no fault of their own, had to close their doors to all 630 theaters. Yes, they were in trouble last year, but as far as shutting things down, that was totally not their fault that all these things with the virus started to happen. And so I think that in the end, you could potentially make an argument that money should go to groups like this because they do provide entertainment for people. And also they voluntarily decided to shut their doors down. And obviously one could argue that, well, they would have been forced to anyway down the road, but the fact that they still chose to shut them down, I still think speaks volumes to the company, at least the people running it stateside, and also to the understanding that they probably will be getting some money back. And if they do file for Chapter 11, does not mean that the company goes away. It just means that there is a restructuring that has to take place, which could mean out of those 630 theaters, you might lose 100 or so, maybe. Again, that's speculation on my part. Probably losing some of those theaters. Cinemark's already made a statement saying down the line they might even want to buy up those theaters if they have to get sold off, and potentially different ticket prices, AMC, A-list potentially being changed as well. There's a lot of things that's probably going to end up happening. On Tuesday, AMC stock closed at $2.18, up 5.83%. But if anyone follows the stock market, which I don't really follow that closely, all I know is that stock at $2 doesn't really seem now that impressive, especially when you look to the likes of Disney, which costs well over $100 a share, even during this crazy time period. So anyway, what are your thoughts about this? Again, I think that the Chinese group here that's trying to say, oh, it's a bunch of hoopla, it's a bunch of rumors, I think that they're just saying that to try and save some face. It's a PR game. It's propaganda nonsense, once again, coming out of China. But even with that being the case, some could argue, well, what would you do? Would you say, oh yeah, things are going bad and we're going to shut down? Or would you try and give some sense of hope? All I know is that it's interesting that the group that owns AMC is now making it a very public statement that there is no truth to these rumors. That's what is being insinuated here by this statement, when all of the indications, especially that $5 billion or so of debt versus the $320 million of net worth, just seems to paint a very different picture. What are your thoughts about this? Do you think AMC will have to file for bankruptcy? Do you think the government's going to step in and give them the cash flow they need so they don't have to go through Chapter 11? Or if they do go through Chapter 11, what kind of process do you think that's going to look like? Man, was doing so well. Let me know your thoughts about this and all the things we talked about in the comments section below. If you like this video, smash that like button, hit that subscribe. It helps me a lot. You're all amazing and beautiful people. And since I have not been able to update anything yet, I want to give a huge shout out to JJBNet for becoming my newest Subscribe Star member. So thank you very much, good sir. I'll try and get you added into the April video, even though it's getting it's about mid-April at this point, but I could still have that space to add you in. So don't worry, man, and thank you for becoming a Subscribe Star member. You guys are all amazing. Have a wonderful day, and as always, God bless. And now a huge shout out to my April Patreon and Subscribe Star members. We have animation commentator Brian P., Dion, Divex, Elizabeth M., Enrique Evangelista, Father Christopher Miller, Hail Father, Frank the Tank and the Shawhan Wiener Dog Clan, Harold Francis, The Hunker Chunky Funky Monkey, Inflamed Wood, Intertrap Productions, Jason Clark, Jeffrey Toon, J.J. Jonathan Jerembeck, Kenneth Cameo, Lady T, Mad Mitch Dunaway, Mike Jackson, Mr. Peabody and his evil twin with the beautiful hair, Orange Hat Reviews, Outpost Dyer, Perpetual Punster, Riff Magos, Rosetta Allen, Steve Glasker, Teresa Martin, Theodore Bendon, The DJD Show, and Tina B. And to my Subscribe Star members, Robert Revo, Mr. Roy, Glinzer, G2 Cool 99, Dark Star 57, J. Alex McCarthy Jr., US 888209 Fast, Dean Heiss, Harold Francis, J. Rod the Beer Guru, Nevadon G. Adams, and ZK Man. And out of step with reality, I'm going to go ahead and leave that blank spot just previously in case any more people decide to become a Patreon or Subscribe Star member over the next few days. Just remember that as soon as you sign up, you are immediately eligible for any of the benefits. If you just sign up at the $1 tier on Subscribe Star or Patreon, you get a shout out at the end of every single video, including my live streams. If you're a $5 or up backer on either platform, you get access to exclusive giveaways where I give away several 4K Blu-rays, digital copies every single month as well. If you jump up to the $10 tier on either platform, you get access to all of that, plus you get access to an exclusive podcast that I do with my friend John the Flick Pick of John Flickinger and the Flick Pick fame. We do a bi-weekly podcast, so every 2 weeks or so we do one, so you get probably about 2 or 3 depending on what's going on, probably more so now with everything going on in the craziness of our world, but you do get access to that. Also, if you are at that $10 tier, it means that you get to take part in the Q&A part of that podcast, and so about 24 to 48 hours before the podcast, maybe even longer beforehand, I'll leave a post in the Patreon Subscribe Star. You'll be able to leave a comment on a question that you want us to answer, on a topic that you want us to cover in a future podcast as well. All of that you have access to. And if you're a $25 backer and up, you get all of those things. Plus, you get a t-shirt for your first month. That's right. You get a free t-shirt, high quality Odin's Movie Vlog t-shirt. So just make sure if you're at a $25 and up backer level, you leave your address. That way I know where to send that to. And also I will be messaging you to get your size information. That way I can send that out to you as quickly as possible. But you also get access to an exclusive Chosen of Valhalla live stream that we have once a month on this channel, where I invite you to be on the show. You can either show your face or not show your face, or hey, you don't have to show up at all. It's totally up to you. And we talk about a wide variety of things. We talk about movies that you've been watching, modern things going on, the pop culture, and pretty much anything that you yourself want to talk about. So if any of these things sound interesting to you and things that you'd want to do, please hit that Patreon Subscribe Star link in the description of this video and think about joining today. Have a wonderful day, everybody. And as always, God bless.